back, everybody, to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast emergency podcast. Today, I have my two friends for the first time. We have them both on at the same time, Chaz and Andrew. So, emergency press conference, not press conference, but emergency podcast because I was driving up from my family's farm. We had a great meal at Muriel's. I'm in a great mood, and then all of a sudden, I get an alert on my phone. LeBron James has joined the Los Angeles Lakers. Chaz, you're a Lakers fan. Go ahead and get started. I'm sick.
Well, first off, I'm going to go ahead and say something that probably most Lakers fans will hate me for saying. Kobe Bryant is my favorite athlete of all time, let alone my favorite basketball player. But LeBron will not have the best career, but he is the best player to ever put on a Lakers jersey, 100% whenever the time comes. He'll be the best player ever. I'm, first and foremost, super pumped to have him in LA because we were in very bad shape, as obviously we had talked about it. And I was pretty mad because I thought if anybody was signed, it would have been Paul George. But we got the best player in the world, so hopefully we can lure some other people to LA too. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, you can't not be pumped.
I was so disappointed. I was distraught. I was like, damn it, the Lakers, because I made fun of the Lakers last night when it hit midnight. I got an alert that said Paul George saying he's staying in OKC, and I couldn't have been more thrilled. I was like, he's not going to the Lakers. I doubt LeBron goes to the Lakers now, proven wrong.
I didn't think he would after that either.
Yeah, and then this happens, and I'm like, well, I'm bummed. But then I realized this opens the door for my Boston Celtics.
I mean, your Celtics, like we talked about, your Celtics are still – if they're the clear-cut favorite to win the East, I mean, they should be. I mean, the only thing you got to worry about is I don't know what reports to take into consideration anymore, but I thought I saw something earlier. I saw two different ones. I saw one where they said Boston was looking into trading Kyrie and a first for Kawhi, and then I saw another one where Boston said that they were about 100% sure they'd be able to re-sign Kyrie in 2019. So, like we said, I don't know what reports to take in, but Kawhi Leonard will be traded by the deadline because they will want something out of him. But regardless, wherever he goes, if he don't come to LA this year, he'll be in LA the following year.
More than likely. You never know. At this point last year, everybody was thinking how Paul George was a lock for LA this time, around this time.
That was like because Paul George is Andrew's boy, which Paul George is one of my favorite players in the NBA too. But he's from LA. He grew up around LA. So I thought if anything, that's what he wanted to do was put on the home team uniform. But from that interview he had with Dwayne Wade, I guess he really thinks that him and Russ and Melo can honestly get it done. Which before the LeBron move, OKC was the better choice because they have a better team.
Yeah.
They would have went further in the playoffs. They would have made the playoffs because the Lakers without LeBron wouldn't even want to make the playoffs anyway.
Real quick though, Andrew, you've been quiet. I brought you on for a reason. You apparently have a take. I'm really looking forward to hearing it. You said you were going to go off.
Okay, here's the thing about LeBron. Okay, you Lakers fans, you can be happy you got LeBron. Congratulations. Chaz is literally the only Laker fan I can tolerate talking free agency, talking hoop flip, because I've had to hear about for the past 5 years how the Lakers are going to get LaMarcus Aldridge, Kevin Durant, insert any big-name free agent player you could possibly think of. They finally land LeBron, which is good for them. But here's the thing about LeBron going to the Lakers, all right? He signed a 4-year deal, and I think there's a reason to that because if they expect a title in the first year, they're nuts. If they expect to make the finals in the first year, I think they're nuts. I don't think Chaz thinks that, but I do think a lot of players think that. I need to get this on this too. If you're a LeBron fan, shut up about other teams, right? Worry about your boy. If you want to argue LeBron and Kobe, if you want to argue LeBron and Steph, that's fine. You can't sit there and keep going to different teams every 4 years or so just because your boy decides he wants to move out to the Lakers, all right? Because from 03 to 2010, Cavs Nation. And then from 2010 to 2014, I heard to hear about Miami. We the culture. We the best. And then all of a sudden, it's back to the Cavs. And then it's like, Cavs Cavs, baby, LeBron. And it's funny because LeBron fans literally go, you can hear how defensive they get when they're talking. It's like, we go where he goes. We don't care. That's literally saying, I know I sound silly and stupid, but by God, we're LeBron. So I feel bad for the Lakers fans, the true Lakers fans that have been there through bad years of the past 5 years. I think what LeBron's doing is opening up the door for more free agents to come follow him in Los Angeles. And eventually, by the time his 4th year's up, he'll have a title or two, I think. I do think the Lakers will be the team that dethrones the Warriors in the next 4 years. I don't think it happens this year. And if there's any Laker fans, LeBron fans upset, they're stupid, they're spoiled, and they just need to shut up, okay?
Well said. Well said. I expected more, to be honest.
No. Well, the thing is, like, that he's saying is like, just because LeBron comes, it makes you a playoff team. It don't really make you a contender because, let's all face it, like, Golden State's going to win it next year. And the top 2 teams are going to be them in Houston again, more than likely. I mean, LeBron could probably get with the young team if they mesh right, and they just signed Caldwell Pope to a 1-year deal, or re-signed him. But, I mean, if you keep IT and then obviously you have Randall and Kuz and Ingram and all that, he could probably...
Hang on. The IT experiment already failed in Cleveland with LeBron. You really think they're going to keep him on roster? Isn't he a free agent too?
I think they should get rid of him. I'm just saying if they do keep him. Okay, we'll say they get rid of him. I'd say no better than probably a 5 seed, maybe like a 6.
You really think they're going to get a 5 seed?
A 6 or a 6.
The West...
Well, like,
the West is super competitive.
No. I meant for me that seems low. I thought they were going to get the 2 or the 3.
Well, you got to think.
I don't know, man.
Playoffs last year.
Here's the thing about the West: the Lakers will make the playoffs, but like it's going to be like the past couple years. It's going to have your 1 and 2 seeds, and then everybody else 3 to 8 is kind of going to be within 2 to 3, maybe 4 games of each other of being a higher seed. So it's going to be more competitive than people think.
Well, you got to think this way. You got to think if we're just going off if this is the team that he has next year. If you're not counting if they have like Boogie.
Free agency still isn't over with.
So like, say if you got this team, he ain't getting a 1 or a 2 seed. I don't think he'll get a 3 or a 4, maybe a 4. I don't think any more than a 5. But
I think it's going to be Golden State and Houston, probably the top 2. You could argue OKC maybe as the 3, maybe since they have another year together, it finally gels.
Like we said, does it even matter what seed they even get? They're not going to win it regardless.
No,
and that's what I think. A lot of excitement now with the Lakers, and I completely understand it. You just got the best player on the planet, the best players. It's Jordan. I can understand you being excited. At the same time, the Mavericks showed that you don't necessarily win it in year 1 just because you have studs, because they beat that Heat team, and this time 8 years ago, everybody and their mother thought, hand the Heat the title. Hand them the title. And
people think that the Lakers are going to win it this first year. You're insane. I don't understand any logic.
But you know there are those fans out there. There are those fans that think, well, LeBron just needed to go to the Lakers. That's all he needed to do. Because they act like...
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, well, I mean, I just think that there's this, LeBron's still a human. Like, I mean, LeBron's kind of Aaron Rodgers of the NBA. He's got a couple extra titles, but I mean, he can only take his team so far with what he has, and he showed this year. Like, he can dominate, but if he doesn't have a team around him, he'll win a title.
And if you think about it, out of the starters, out of the people that play a lot, or even the starters, only one player, IT's been in the playoffs. Well, Brook Lopez.
And that's another thing. People don't factor that into it.
Yeah.
They don't understand these guys are still young. They've never played in the playoffs. Every game they've played has no meaning to it because they don't sniff the playoffs. They haven't played in a meaningful regular season game because they don't have any stipulations.
And the thing is, the only way, like Andrew said, if they do dethrone the Golden State Warriors within the next couple years, like say after these first 2 or whatever, it will be because the Warriors, Klay Thompson and probably Draymond Green will leave because they'll want Draymond.
Klay Thompson could join the Lakers because that's where his dad.
He could come to the Lakers. But if they get Kawhi, like this LeBron's second year, and Golden State loses Klay Thompson and he comes to LA, or they just lose Klay Thompson and Draymond, I would take LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard over Steph Curry and KD. I would do that. But if Klay Thompson definitely comes to the Lakers definitely should be the forefront winner. But the only way they would technically dethrone is by that team breaking up, because nobody can beat that team. I mean, I guess if you had the only way that you would beat them would be like if you had LeBron, Kawhi, and like a Paul George or something. That would be the only way to even contend with them. But
Paul
like
George isn't going anywhere.
That team.
Well, and that's the thing. I think this whole move LeBron made, I think he made this move 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago when he re-signed with Cleveland, he thought, I'm going to win Cleveland a title, try to win them one, maybe win them two. And then this year he finally realized that going to the Lakers, I think, has been LeBron's end game for the longest time. Either going to the Lakers or the Knicks. One of these two of the biggest market on the West and the biggest market on the
brand thing than anything.
It is. It's like a brand thing, and I think it's his last. He made this move in his back of his mind a few years ago. If it doesn't work out in Cleveland, if I can't bring home more than just one, then I'm going to go to the Lakers, because now that does open up the door. Because the Lakers, Cleveland is not a destination for free agents. Miami was, but he still couldn't get nobody to come down there and join him, and he saw the writing on the wall. Lakers, while they flaked out the past few years on free agents, if you have LeBron, that's Hollywood right there. That's boom. Guys like Kawhi, they want to go there. So I do think this is his in-game move to try to catch Jordan. This is his last leg to try to get 6 titles.
And the thing is,
he's got a 4-year deal to try to win 3 titles. And then when that deal's up, because I don't know how long LeBron's going to play. He's 32?
33. He's 33 or 33. How old's Dwayne Wade? No,
he'll be about 37. He'll be pushing 40 by the time this contract's over.
He'll be about 37 or 30, yeah, something. But somebody made a good point I thought I saw on TV the other day. This is actually the first time that he's actually had to be the one to kind of make, if you will, kind of the decision to on his own in a way, because he was walking into Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. He come back, Kyrie was already there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they had to get Kevin Love and stuff like that. But this, he saw where Paul George signed. He saw where one of his best friends, Chris Paul, re-signed. I mean, he had to kind of go out on a limb, but I think, like we said, the talks of Kawhi Leonard wanting to go there is definitely, he knows that pretty much if Kawhi don't get traded there this year, wherever he ends up this year, it's only going to be a one-time deal, and then LA's going to sign him next year.
And that's one reason why I think my Mavs only signed DJ to 1 year. I think DeAndre only signed a 1 year deal because he's looking at the Lakers too, and I still think that, especially now that LeBron is there and it's a 4-year deal. He could go prove himself in Dallas, prove himself that he's still a solid center, and he's got it. And then he has a good year for us. Let's say we want to make the playoffs. I could see him bolting for next year because it's only a 1 year deal.
But
and LeBron and DeAndre Jordan have been linked in trade talks and all that stuff.
Does he really want to play with a center, though?
He wanted to come to Dallas before this, though.
Well, that was 3 years ago. But if he was so interested in staying with us, he wouldn't have signed just a 1 year, $24 million deal. That's leverage in case it doesn't work out this year. And DeAndre Jordan is kind of the perfect center for LeBron. He doesn't necessarily need a center that can shoot threes and play the outside game. But I think anyone else on the court.
I think LeBron
he just needs a guy that can go.
How the game is. I think he knows how the game works, and you do need shooters, especially to knock off Golden State. And DeAndre Jordan's not a shooter. He can get rebounds if you can get 4 other guys.
But he doesn't need DeAndre Jordan to do that. He needs DeAndre Jordan.
We don't have a center now, though. Brook Lopez.
That's what I'm saying. DeAndre Jordan's perfect for LeBron because LeBron can get everyone else involved in the perimeter game, but he needs somebody to be in the paint to get boards, block shots, and play the dirty work. Because
he's athletic too. He's athletic.
No, we saw what happened when he played defense.
But
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
Before you go on, I don't know if you guys saw this, which this is an athletic guy that could actually fit well too, but I don't see him leaving. So maybe, but I saw where the Lakers are possibly trying to pursue Capella.
Yeah.
Is he a free agent?
Huh?
Is he a free agent?
Yeah, he's restricted, so the Rockets can match anything that anybody offers.
I saw reports they said they would push
Yeah. I do think the Lakers will get Nerlens Noel from Dallas because he's a restricted free agent. But the thing is we're not going to sign him because both sides are we don't need him now that we got DJ. So I do think Nerlens Noel that's going to be all starting center next year. I think Nerlens Noel.
Y'all kind of started to.
Even if you Boogie, he can't play a year from now, like spring. I think. Like, I don't even think they said he's even like he won't play the first half of the NBA season. That's for sure. And if he comes back too early, he could just screw around and hurt himself again.
I think Boogie's a top 3 center with AD
No question.
and the process, but he's a cancer, man.
He's a head case.
He's a cancer.
I think if you can't play with LeBron and win, then you'll never be a winner. And I think he could try to go play with LeBron. It might be his last leg to try to play with LeBron.
I wouldn't be willing to risk that if I was Magic. But
and here's another thing: if you're the Lakers, because there have been talks about trying to trade Lonzo and all that, and getting somebody like Lillard in return. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers try to throw Washington Lonzo and a couple of picks or something and a couple of players for John Wall to go for LeBron. Like, that wouldn't shock me at all.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I honestly think Washington's about to blow it up.
What do you say? Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, Washington's getting rid of Beal or Wall. Neither way, both of those two last by the trade deadline next year.
And another thing is too is like you said about Zoe. Like, a lot of people hate on him. I think a lot because of the pressure that his dad put on him. Like, he honestly, if you compare his season, he had like a better rookie season than Jason Kidd even had as a rookie. Like,
yeah,
he isn't going to be
he's not out there.
He's not going to be like a transcendent player, but I don't think that he is on the trading block. I think Magic is in love with him. Magic has said also yesterday that you will see a different Lonzo Ball next season. I think for a player that they went and took the second overall pick, they're not going to give up on him after 1 year, unless it is something major like Andrew said. Unless like maybe they want to throw like John Wall, I still don't know if they would give him up.
I think that's a possibility. What Andrew just said about Damian Lillard, I think is very interesting because didn't he just send out a tweet? Not saying he wants out, but it sounded like he wanted out of Portland.
I think Damian Lillard has done all he can do for Portland. Yeah. They're not going any higher with him. They're not going to land these big free agents, and he plays in the West. They're in the West. Like, the only where Lillard to go to try to even sniff a championship and improve his game and become a bigger star than what he is to the Lakers with LeBron or somewhere else.
I think that's very, very interesting because they need a point guard. I'm not trying to just say Lonzo Ball's not good. I think he is pretty good.
No, I'm not saying Lonzo Ball isn't better than Damian Lillard. He isn't on Damian Lillard.
Well, no. I just mean it's not that I'm saying they don't have a point guard. I think Lonzo can develop into a good one. He's just a rookie. You're going to take Damian Lillard every time.
Yeah, I personally, if I was in the position that I could have Damian Lillard or Lonzo, I would take Damian Lillard. But I'm saying that from the talk that you're getting that you hear, or the reports that you're hearing from the inside Lakers office of Magic Johnson, as of now, they are still believing in Zoe to become.
And if that's true,
I mean, I'm rooting for the guy. He seems like a nice guy.
I genuinely think they've had a talk with LeVar Ball saying, "Shut up, don't say a word. If you screw this LeBron thing up, we'll trade your son like that." I mean, I think they've had to have had a conversation with him because he can't just be out there running his trap about LeBron James. Like, I know he says stuff a lot to troll. He's kind of the embodiment of the Twitter sports troll. Thing is I don't think that LeBron went there with the idea of like, oh, what's LeBron going to do? You won't hold him in check. I think they told LeBron, look, we've already shut him up. We've already told him how it is. This is how it's going to be. Like, you have to at least go over that with the kid's dad, because you don't want LeVar out here running his mouth if LeBron James misses a game winner. Like, hey, you don't need that. You don't need that time of media attention. But in the next 12 months, it's going to be wild in regards to LA media.
Oh gosh!
This is why I think trading him is kind of.
They're going to be the team.
This is why I think trading him is kind of interesting. I don't know anything about the guy. I think what could be best for him is just getting out of LA.
Who?
Lonzo.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's lived there his entire life. He went to UCLA. His dad, is there. He won't shut up. And honestly, just might be best to just change the scenery, go somewhere else for a few years, develop his game, get out of the spotlight. I don't know. That's just something maybe I think of.
I think personally, like Andrew said, because of his dad, he's always going to be in the spotlight unless he gets kicked out of the NBA. But like you said, a guy that has had that much attention by his dad and his family in the market that LA is, it just blows up. And
he doesn't seem like a guy that wants attention.
And like me and my grandpa were talking, I know these are completely due to two different sports, and you can see this. Like, we were watching the Yankees in Boston. Not everybody can come to New York and play there because there's a certain standard. Yeah. Not everybody can play with LeBron James, like Rodney Hood said. He was having career numbers at Utah, but he comes in the expectation with LeBron James is just too much. So it could be, like you said, we can find out maybe if he's still there next year that maybe the spotlight and the target that his dad put on his back is too much for it. Because, like you said, his personality is kind of shy. He's not very aggressive.
He's kind of a robot. He reminds me a lot of RG3. And RG3 was that kind of guy. He kind of kept to himself. He was reserved. He went to a big market like Washington, D.C., and the media tore him up. And I feel like that's kind of the case with Lonzo.
You're right. That is a good point. Not everybody can play for LA in the market.
And there's nothing wrong with that. He strikes me more of a small market
That's
guy.
why the Knicks can't land anybody, because people think the Los Angeles media can be vicious. The New York media is like the worst on the planet. Like the New York media. That's what. Look at the Yankees. They already called John Carlos Stanton a bust a month into the season. Yeah. Like they were already like, was this a good idea to trade for John Carlos?
No, man. They're
it's a good idea to trade for John Carlos Stanton.
They overhyped that. We're getting off topic, but they overhyped that deal. I think they expected John Carlos Stanton to come in there, hit about 350, 60 homers, and he's not that hitter. He's a 260, 270 hitter.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you're good. So we're just saying not everybody can handle a certain spotlight that like playing with a great like LeBron, even though he makes most people better on his team, but some people like Rodney Hood had trouble developing with him. IT, like you said, you point out a perfect example after I mentioned IT still being there. Like, is it a good idea to keep somebody there that didn't work out whenever you play with LeBron?
I'm pretty sure he's a free agent because that's why Boston traded him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we should get rid of him. Like the word was that most people, or I saw what we would have had to do to give 2 max deals, and it's cleaning some serious house. We'd have to get rid of Brook Lopez. We'd have to get rid of him. We'd have to get rid of Luau Dang.
He's a one that screws y'all most, I think, because
we just signed.
Y'all have a lot of money tied up into Luau Dang.
But I feel like Brook Lopez is a guy that could be a solid piece for LeBron.
He what?
I think he could be a solid piece for LeBron. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be anything special, but
he'd
be like the 4th or 5th option.
I think like Andrew was saying, his numbers I don't feel like will be really worse with LeBron. I really don't know how much he'll really help. Like I think a more of an athletic guy like Andrew was saying, like a DJ or like a Capella, somebody of that magnitude, I feel like would elevate.
If LeBron could get somebody that does the dirty work for him so he does not have to do it all, I think what he can do offensively on the other side, or what he can still do defensively, because that's his problem in Cleveland, man. He was literally doing everything.
Well, they had no one that could have your dirty work in LA, Kuzma or something.
No, that's what I'm saying. Get a guy like Nerlens Noel, who that's all they know. Defense and boards. If he can just have somebody on the court who's athletic, that can play defense and get rebound and then finish some lobs, that's all he really needs. Because he can find open guys.
Kind of almost like a...
That's a good point then with DeAndre Jordan.
That's what I'm saying. Because he can find the two. He can find whoever's the stretch forward. He'll find the point guard. He's got that vision. But the thing is, up in Cleveland, he's out here trying to pass it to everybody and then go try to get the rebound and the putbacks himself.
And the thing is, now that people are talking is, and I thought I even saw a video of this earlier, like people were asking Lonzo how he's going to feel possibly playing off the ball a good bit. So who's going to
improve that jump shot?
Is Lonzo going to be playing off the ball, or is LeBron going to be playing off the ball?
But to be fair about Lonzo,
like Andrew said, if he plays off the ball and his jump shot ain't good, like you said, Shane, he's done after this year. If he has to play off the ball and he can't knock down shots, he's worthless. Because he ain't gonna guard. You know he's a defensive liability.
Yep.
The thing is I don't know what LeBron thought when he made the decision. I'm sure he knows a lot more than we know about.
I personally, as a Lakers fan, if I was him,
Andrew.
So especially when he got out of Cleveland.
Unless he knows for sure that he's talked to Kawhi Leonard and regardless of if he gets traded there this year or after, he's going to ride the first year out and wait on him to come and play his final 3 years with him. I can understand why he did it. But if he don't know that, I love the Lakers.
Another guy to keep an eye on because he's apparently upset with front office is now Devin Booker, we
don't technically need Devin. I don't understand why we would. I mean, you got Kuzma and you got Ingram and you got. And
that's the thing. If you can keep those guys and develop them around LeBron, because those guys could develop into good players. We look at these other guys because guys like Devin Booker and all these other guys for their team who have put up these crazy numbers, but they're playing for terrible teams. Think about Kuz, Lonzo, and Josh Hart. I think those are 4 guys that can become all-star caliber players.
That's a bold statement.
Maybe not Josh Hart. I don't know. But I think they could be not all pro necessarily, not like superstar levels. Like I think these guys could be all-star caliber players. It just depends on how they develop. And Lonzo, all he really needs to do is work on his defense and work on his jumper because he's got the passing, he's got the athletic ability. He just needs a jump shot and some defense.
Actually, did you want to say something, Shane?
Well, I've been wanting to say something for a while, but I want to touch up on it on some point. Is how we think LeBron's going to fit in with this front office because generally everywhere he goes, he wants control. We say it's not literal, but he wants control of the team. He wants, control of the decisions on the court, personnel, all that stuff. How is he going to fit in? Because I remember when he made his list of teams he was talking to, the 3 teams that stuck out to me was the Celtics, Sixers, and Lakers. Celtics because I thought, one, there was zero chance he was going there because they had an established GM and an established coach. That just doesn't fit unless he was willing to sit back and let Ainge and Stevens do the work. But the other team that stuck out was the Lakers because I know, Chaz, you haven't been a fan of his. I feel like Magic's been pretty competent since he got there. Has it been great? Probably not, but I feel like he's made some decent decisions. I mean, the Lakers were making some horrible decisions before he got there, and I feel like he's kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So I'm a little surprised he chose the Lakers, one, because I feel like Magic has control of that team, and he will make the decisions. Now, whether or not Luke Walton will make any decisions is another thing. I don't know. Maybe LeBron will control that aspect. I don't know. But like I said, Philly was another team because I just feel like Philly would just give him the keys and be like, all right, man, here, guide us. Lakers don't really seem like that kind of team.
Do you want to go or you want me to go, Andrew?
You go ahead. Go first.
Well, first off,
age before beauty, my friend.
I heard that. But when you mentioned the Boston thing, I can completely see why. First and foremost, I don't know what his and Kyrie's relationship would be. Plus, I don't know if they would definitely not been able to give him the money unless they want to ship some younger players, and I don't think they want to do that. Plus, like you said, Danny Ainge rules with an iron fist. So, anyway, but then again, you know how like LeBron likes to pretty much he takes control of the team, but then again, you can't really say he's done a bad job because he's won whenever he's done that.
Well, hold on. That's true, but now he leaves Cleveland with 0 assets and 0 guys on that team.
No, I'm saying while he was there. Well, I guess you would say he technically didn't run the team in Miami. He didn't run the team in Miami, okay?
Technically not.
Because Pat Riley's...
Hang on, we lost Andrew. I'm going to try to get him back.
Okay.
You can keep talking now.
But in Cleveland, like you said, I guess he's done an okay job. It wasn't perfect. I mean, it got them a championship. So, I mean, that's really pretty much, I think, all he wanted to do was bring back a championship for his quote-unquote city, even though he isn't from Cleveland, but he's basically right near it. But with this front office, I feel like like you said, Magic runs the show. And before we get into him fitting in, and like you said with Magic, I'll say this. I didn't say that Magic has done a bad job. I said if he did not land a free agent this year or next year, that he deserved to go. Because I think he should have at least landed one, which he did land one. And he even said that in his interview. He said, if I don't bring anybody here from this year, next year, I'll quit myself. And she, meaning Jeannie Buss, will not have to fire me. I'll resign. So I think that was a good enough statement to say that if a guy of his caliber, he's a businessman with the Dodgers. I mean, they've been in a World Series since he's been their part owner. I mean, he knows the game. He knows everybody. Yeah. So, I mean, if he couldn't win somebody, I think he deserved to go. Like you said, I think they've cleaned house a little bit more and have done better since he's been in office. I do believe that.
So, yeah, I do think that that's interesting just because I do feel like he's cleaned it up a little bit. I don't think he's willing to just give it to LeBron, let LeBron handle it like it was in Cleveland. But maybe that was the selling point for him to go back to Cleveland.
Much. I think he will definitely listen to what he has to say.
Maybe that was the selling point, though, when he went back to Cleveland was, hey, I'm going to have all the decisions here. Maybe. I don't know.
But like you said, though, and the thing is, too, is like Luke Walton. Luke Walton isn't a coach that'll strike you as, like you said, like an iron fist. Like, he's kind of like on the level of Tyronn Lue in a way. He's an easygoing kind of – you kind of could see a big-time player stepping over him and kind of putting him in his place, you know what I mean? So, if I'm a betting man, LeBron will run that locker room.
Probably. And another thing to touch up on, his deal. Andrew kind of mentioned it. By the way, we lost Andrew. His internet is out. It looks like. I'm not sure he'll be able to come back. But he mentioned a 4-year deal. I mean, he hasn't signed anything like that since he left for Miami. He signed a 6-year deal in Miami with a 4-year opt-out. He signed a 2-year deal to go to Cleveland with a 1-year opt-out, and he kind of just kept doing that. And then now he signs with the Lakers, and as far as we know, it's a 4-year deal. I haven't seen an opt-out. I'm sure there is one.
4-year, 154.
Yeah, and then that's another thing. I saw that number. I'm like, that seems kind of low, and it is. It's $38.5 million, which is still big money. But you look at Chris Paul, who isn't half the player LeBron is, and he signed for $40 million, and LeBron's making a little bit less. James Harden's making a whole boatload of money, and he isn't the player LeBron is. So he kind of took less to go to the Lakers.
I didn't think of it like that. You got to think at the time, though, LeBron wasn't a free agent whenever James Harden needed a contract, and James Harden was in Houston when he had that year, so they were going to give him his first. This isn't LeBron's first big contract.
No. I don't mean that. I just meant it's not like the Lakers offered him. It's not like the Lakers offered him an absurd amount of money for him to come there. It was just a kind of a normal deal.
And what was his Cleveland going to be? What, 5,209?
I honestly don't know.
That might equal out actually. 5,209 might be the same basically almost.
I don't know. I just remember seeing that number and I'm like, it's not like they offered him $60 million to come there.
Yeah, that is true. He did take. I would say honestly, because I mean, regardless of like some of LeBron's political views, he's not a dumb guy. You know what I mean? He's pretty smart. He's a smart businessman. So I mean, I would say that there's something that's being done behind the scenes. And you got to think, he took a decent amount, but not that much for another max.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't know who. I mean, they're obviously going to try to get Kawhi. I really don't see that happening at this point. I think he's more likely to go east. Still could happen, though.
If he goes east, it'll be for 1 year only because he'll be a free agent.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't mean they're going to get Kawhi right now. One thing I will say Colin Cowherd mentioned is this 4-year deal means he's in it for the long haul. He wants to get it right. He doesn't want to rush anything and, get Kawhi and, some other garbage free agent and call it the big three, and then they're locked in with money for 4 years.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think you touched on a very good point there. I didn't think about that I didn't realize – I knew that Chris Paul got a max. I didn't really go digging deep to the numbers. I just saw it. I didn't realize that he got 40. But that's pretty cool. Like you said, and Chris Paul's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but Chris Paul isn't a magnitude player of LeBron James. You know what I mean? Chris Paul's a great player. But I think, like you said, he's in it for the long haul. He knows it's it's a marathon, not a sprint. And
At least in the West, it will be.
yeah, and like we said, I think he knows that pretty much. I don't know if they'll get anybody else this season. They might not, and he'll try to gel with this young core, and hopefully they can get Kawhi his second year.
I think they'll get somebody else. I don't know who else is on the market. I'm sure they'll get one more guy.
I don't want Boogie. I don't want Cousins. I guess you could throw.
I mean, they'll get a guy for like maybe a 1 or 2 year deal. I'm not saying they're going to give someone a max deal, but
yeah, if you give a max deal, I think pretty much at this point it's pretty dumb to give somebody a max deal because really the only players that really would deserve a max deal, which would be pretty much that are left, are Boogie, and I think Boogie deserves a max deal because he's a top 3 center, but I don't think he is a good fit for the Lakers. I think like you said, you could sign somebody for a 2 year, like you said, which
someone who's not necessarily a star, kind of like a Gordon Hayward, good player, not a star, not necessarily a star, but obviously he signed a 4 year deal in Boston. Yeah, right, an established guy, like a Capella, for instance, like you said.
I guess you could do that, but like. I think it's set. I guess you could do. The thing is, though, is you don't know if a player of that caliber is looking for a 2 year deal. He might be. The young player like that's probably want to commit.
That's why LeBron's there.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to go there if it's just a 2 year deal. LeBron's here.
I guess like you said, somebody could kind of put a little bit of pride aside and go for a 2 year since just to play with LeBron and see how it goes. You know what I mean? Maybe they would do that. I mean, or if you don't do that, you could possibly of possibly landing a Kawhi year after next and a Klay Thompson maybe or something like that.
I think it's more likely you're going to see them spend. I mean, obviously we knew they had to spend this year. It's more likely maybe they spend a little bit more next year, try to get Kawhi Leonard if he's a free agent, and a Klay Thompson if he's a free agent. Maybe try to get both of them because I feel like that's going to be the big three is LeBron, Kawhi, and Klay Thompson. You got a defender that'll do dirty work with Kawhi. You got a shooter in Klay Thompson, and you got LeBron, the best player in the world.
And you got to think your boy becomes a free agent year after next too.
Who's that?
Kyrie.
I think that ship has sailed with him being with LeBron.
No, I'm just saying him leaving.
No, I know that. Yeah, he's not going to the Lakers.
I think he'll make a long-term commitment with Boston, but I'm just saying, like, you got some big. I don't think Anthony Davis is year after next, is he?
He's up there because I've heard the Pelicans have shopped the idea of moving him.
They're keeping him, right?
No, I'm sure they will keep him. I've just heard that they've looked into the idea of trading him.
Anthony Davis?
Yeah. I've heard Golden State was an option. I've heard Boston, I think, is an option, but I don't think it's anything big. Like I wouldn't expect it to happen. I've just heard that it could be an option.
It's a bold statement there. Wow. I mean,
why would he want to stay in New Orleans? He's not doing anything.
Well, no, I'm saying, I can understand why he wouldn't want to stay there. I'm just saying why they wouldn't want him there.
I mean, they know he'll be gone in a year or two.
I mean, if I was him, I'd get out of New Orleans too. He ain't going in there, especially with the teams you got.
And that's kind of the way the NBA's become. You might as well get something for him.
I've always heard that your boys have always been a destination that's wanted to go after him for a long time.
Yeah, him and Kevin Love were two of them.
I feel like I don't know if you guys would have to give up because if he's a free agent the year after next, Kyrie's a free agent too. So
I would imagine Horford would be gone. One of those wings would be gone. Maybe Hayward, even though it's kind of red to get rid of him after you just signed him.
Will probably be gone, I think.
Yeah, someone will be gone, but they'll probably shuffle around some money. It's not. I mean, you can go over the cap in the NBA. It's just you got to pay a luxury tax.
Yeah, luxury tax. I know. It's just. I mean, there's like you said, there's a lot. We'll put it this way. So, with this current roster at the Lakers, where do you think they end up in the playoffs next year? What seed would you give them?
Well, I mean, I said before I could see a 3 seed. I mean, you got LeBron.
Basically, Golden State, Houston, them.
Yeah, I could. If OKC, man, I mean, they got another year together. Maybe it finally gels with Westbrook and George and Melo. Maybe it gels and they get that 3rd seed. But I think more than likely the Lakers get the 4 or 5, maybe the 3 seed.
Which, like we talked about, there's really kind of no difference between those because they're all like a game apart. I said
I could easily see the 3. I mean, the 3 seed this year was Portland, and I think the Lakers with LeBron could be better than Portland.
That's right. I'd give them probably a 4, like you said. Yeah, a 4. And you're right. I mean, but like we said, it really don't kind of – if you get within the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it really kind of don't even matter which one you get.
I mean, but I think we're all – even Andrew are all in agreement. I don't think the Lakers are going to the finals next year.
No.
Unless they pull a trick out of their hat and, get Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, and somebody else this offseason.
The only way that I could see them possibly going to the finals is if they land Kawhi Leonard and somehow they gel really well and maybe one of the big-time players on Golden State gets hurt or something. Yeah. And them winning it somehow if, like, Steph gets hurt or something like that. But even if they would get Kawhi Leonard this year, I don't think they would win it because, like you said, they gotta learn to play with each other, and you got to see if it'll work. Which I think LeBron can pretty much play with anybody. I think Kawhi can play with a lot of people too. You know what I mean? But that's still they don't got the bench that Golden State has. You know what I mean? They got a young team with 2. They'd have a young team with 2 superstars, 2 of the top 5 best players in the world. But I mean, they don't have the chemistry that Golden State has, nor the bench with them, and they have 2 championships with this team.
That's why I think Boston's just kind of taking a step back. They didn't really need to make any additions. I feel like even if hear me out, I think if let's pretend I think LeBron had stayed in Cleveland. Let's pretend they didn't add anyone else. I think that Boston team next year would have beat Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals next year. But now that he's gone, I think Boston kind of just said, we don't really need to add anything because we probably could beat them anyway next year with a healthy Kyrie Irving and a healthy Gordon Hayward. So they kind of said, let's see what LeBron does. He's gone. Well, we definitely don't need to make any additions now. We'll easily get to the finals. And then maybe see what Philly does. If they get Kawhi, okay, well, let's go big and get like a Boogie Cousins, somebody, someone else on the market.
If you guys,
and I wouldn't want to get Cousins. That's just the name that came to mind.
No, I know what you're saying though. Like if you guys, I mean,
heck, I'd love to get Devin Booker. I'm not sure we'd be able to do it.
I mean, I don't know necessarily.
Or another name, Karl Anthony Towns. Apparently, wants out of Minnesota.
Yes, he does. Apparently, that is true. Like. You really don't need a Devin Booker. You're guard loaded. You got so many guards. I mean, Devin Booker's a heck of a player, but I mean, you got so many freaking guards on your team. And the thing is, too, is like you said, if you guys would have been 100% healthy, you'd have beat Cleveland this year. And I don't think you'd have beat Golden State, but I think taking them to about 6 probably.
Yeah, I said so too.
Maybe in 7.
I thought so too. Now, Cleveland getting swept changed my opinion, but I thought if Boston had won that series, I thought they could have, even this year, I thought they could have made it 5 or 6 games against Golden State.
I said about 6, and I think they'd beat Cleveland in probably 6.
Yeah, but so next year though, I mean it's down to Boston and Philly now in the East.
That's going to be very interesting. And hey, hypothetically, what if Boogie goes to? Say, what if Washington keeps John Wall and Bradley Beal and Boogie goes there?
That'd be very interesting. Boogie Cousins going to Washington because they just traded away Gortat. Wall and Cousins played together. But I still think, I said it at the beginning, I think Washington's close to blowing it up.
Yeah, you said there's something about Washington that you don't like. I know that there was big talks as Washington was becoming a landing place for Boogie. I don't know if he's from D.C. I thought I heard.
No, he's from Alabama.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's from like Mobile, I think.
Really?
Just John Wall, he played with him in college.
Him and John Wall. I mean, honestly, personally, if Boogie leaves, that's where I'd like to see him go is Washington. I think that'd be very
intriguing. I mean, I would say that's the third best team in the East, but they were the 8th seed last year. I mean, I just don't see that team going anywhere. They're in limbo, like with Portland. That's why I think they're going to blow it up.
And kind of like there's another team that's kind of just a limbo too. That's kind of like they've kind of maxed out, but they don't know what to do. Is Toronto?
Yep. Toronto's another team. I mean, what they really need is a wing. Problem is, no one wants to go to Toronto.
I mean, you got a good point guard and a good shooting guard. I mean, you just.
I'm wrong. That would be the third best team in the East, Toronto.
Yes, I mean, like you said, if Boston's 100, Boston's going to be Boston's
going to win about 60 games next year.
You can Andrew just sent a group text if you want to read it and then possibly say what he said. I don't know what he said though.
He says, all right, so this is one of his takes. LeBron fans need to understand he might win them titles, but it'll always be Magic and Kobe's team. Same way with D-Wade and the Heat. The Cavaliers will always be LeBron's team, as the Bulls will always be Jordan's team. He's not
That's
wrong.
True.
He's not wrong.
No, and Miami will always be Dwayne Wade's team. 100%.
I agree.
But something, okay, so 4 years, how many rings does LeBron get?
Really depends on what else they bring in.
Okay,
I'm expecting them to be buyers.
Say they bring in Kawhi Leonard his second year, and he gets a long-term deal.
I think they could. I think they're going to need another. I mean, those are two good players.
Say they bring in Kawhi his second year, he gets a long-term deal. Golden State keeps Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, but loses Klay Thompson and loses Draymond Green.
Well, one, I don't think Draymond Green will go to the Lakers. I don't know why. They won't have room for him, number one. And I feel like it's a shooter's league. More than likely, Klay Thompson could go to the Lakers. If that's your trio, I could easily see a championship.
I think if
Ball develops into a serviceable point guard.
I think if Golden State breaks up after this upcoming year and Kawhi goes to LA, I think LeBron would at least get one.
I could see one. It just depends. If they don't make any additions, though, it's not going to be in it.
If they don't make any additions at all, even if Golden State would break up a little bit, they're still not beating Steph and Kevin Durant unless Ingram and Kuzma or Ingram and Zoe or Ingram and Julius Randle just break out to
Ingram. I mean, usually I think the rule is about 2 years for NBA players. If they haven't broke out by now, they're likely not going to. That's true. Ingram's been in the league now, I think, 2 years.
Well, I don't know. Giannis was kind of a late bloomer, wasn't he, last year?
I mean, he was good the previous year.
He's a free agent, I think, after next year.
Yeah, he's getting up there. That's another one.
He was drafted in 2012 or 13.
I think it was 13, yeah. He ought to be a free agent coming up soon, and that's another destination for the Lakers.
Oh, my Lord. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That'd be full of wings. Hopefully the Ball could step up and be a serviceable point guard.
But like you said, with NBA's league now, you really can't say how many championships you'll get because you don't know the puzzles they're going to add or the puzzles that people are going to lose across the league or game. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm trying to think. I think the Lakers had something like $60 million in cap room this year. LeBron ate up about $40 million of that, roughly. It's going to be less than that because that's the way it works out for contracts. You start out low and then you get higher. So he's probably around $30 million. So that's still $31 million in cap room. They could, I don't know if it's like the NFL where it carries over the next year. They could be big spenders again next year.
I saw to get 2 max deals this year, what somebody showed that they would have to do. By getting rid of players, they would have 5 players on roster, which would be Zoe, Hart, Julius Randle, Kuzma, and Ingram, which are their core 5 best players that they have that are younger. And then adding I think they use Paul George, for instance. Adding a Paul George and LeBron would be only 7 players on roster. And for the remaining 5 that you need for the 12-man roster,
they would have to rely on veterans or people that are kind of in the middle of their career taking pay cuts to try to win championships to come. That's 5. That's a tough position to be in. So you'd be going off of people wanting to come to LA to play with them or people wanting to try to win championships.
That's why
I don't know if that carries on to the next year, but that's how it would be this year. And they'd have to get rid of everybody but them 5.
I think that's why the draft picks are so crucial. They're cheap and they're bodies.
And I think the draft that we picked was nothing. I don't think that helped us out.
They must have known LeBron was coming.
I guess so. I don't know.
Well, it is after 10 o'clock. I know you gotta. No, you're not in school right now. But,
not 12.
I know you're a teacher. But I'll let you go. 4th of July coming up. Good. Hope you and your family have a good 4th of July.
You too, my brother.
All right, man. Enjoy this win, I guess you could say, for a while.
Hopefully more wins to come, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
All right, brother. You take care, man. Thanks for having me.
Yep, later.
All right.